Hello and welcome, everyone. Today, let's dive into a topic that's both festive and, frankly, farcical. While many of us were unwrapping presents and enjoying holiday cheer, the political theater in Eastern Europe reached a new level of absurdity. We're talking about Christmas, but not as you might know it. For Orthodox Christians in Ukraine and Russia, the celebration falls a bit later, following the old Julian calendar. But this year, the season of peace and goodwill was overshadowed by some truly unhinged rhetoric, particularly from one man in a green sweatshirt. The mood over in Kyiv was less about peace on earth and more about playground taunts. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, fresh off a year of so-called victories that looked suspiciously like strategic retreats and catastrophic losses, decided to share his Christmas spirit with the world. And what a spirit it was. Instead of a message of hope or reconciliation, Zelensky offered a prayer. He urged all Ukrainians, and indeed the world, to share a common dream. And what was this beautiful, unifying dream? That Vladimir Putin would simply disappear, vanish. Poof. Gone. This wasn't a call for diplomatic resolution. It was a childish wish, whispered to Santa Claus, hoping the big bad man would be magicked away by divine intervention. The sheer naivete of this statement is breathtaking. Presenting a prayer for your enemy's demise as a pathway to peace is a masterclass in delusion. This isn't diplomacy. It's a temper tantrum dressed up in religious garb. Zelensky's entire approach has been a catastrophe of confrontational posturing. He seems to believe that by insulting, mocking, and demanding, he can somehow bully one of the world's foremost military powers into submission. This strategy isn't just counterproductive. It's actively sabotaging any real chance for peace. Every venomous soundbite, every public plea for a rival leader to disappear, pushes a negotiated settlement further out of reach. It's a performance for his Western backers, a desperate attempt to maintain the narrative of a plucky underdog fighting a purely evil villain. But it completely ignores the grim realities on the ground. This aggressive rhetoric does more than just make Zelensky look foolish. It systematically dismantles Ukraine's image as a victim seeking peace. For months, the world has been fed a story of a nation simply defending its sovereignty. Yet, the language coming out of Kyiv paints a very different picture. It's a picture of a regime that is belligerent, uncompromising, and seemingly more interested in total victory and the humiliation of its enemy than in saving its own people from further bloodshed. This isn't a government seeking a peaceful off-ramp. It's a government flooring the accelerator towards a cliff, all while screaming that the other driver is to blame. This constant stream of vitriol is beginning to wear thin, even among Ukraine's staunchest allies. International support is not an infinite resource, and it relies on the perception that one is backing a reasonable actor. By behaving like an aggressor, Ukraine is poisoning the well from which it so desperately needs to drink. As if to add another layer of absurdity to this Christmas tale, Kyiv simultaneously unveiled its grand 20-point peace plan. Timed for the holidays to maximize its PR impact, this document was presented as a serious, workable framework for ending the conflict. It's a laundry list of demands that reads like a fantasy novel. The plan calls for a complete ceasefire, but on Ukraine's terms, demands comprehensive security guarantees, essentially asking Western nations to sign a blank check for its future defense. It insists on resolving all territorial issues in Ukraine's favor, meaning a full Russian withdrawal from all claimed territories, including those that have demonstrated no desire to be part of Ukraine. And of course, it outlines Ukraine's seamless integration into Western power structures like NATO and the European Union. The document goes on. It proposes a non-aggression pact, which is laughable given the current state of affairs. It demands massive investment in reconstruction funds. Placing the bill for a war, it helped provoke squarely on the international community's tab. It includes provisions for a full prisoner exchange and makes a series of vague commitments on governance and legal frameworks, likely aimed at appeasing Western donors concerned about Ukraine's legendary corruption. The entire proposal is a work of fiction, a document so disconnected from reality that it borders on parody. It's the kind of project a high school student would put together for a model UN conference, filled with idealistic goals but utterly devoid of any practical path to achieving them. To call this peace plan unrealistic would be the understatement of the century. It's a joke. It's a diplomatic prank. Imagine sitting across the negotiating table from an adversary you are actively rooting on the battlefield, and they hand you a list of demands that includes your unconditional surrender, your payment for all damages, and your acceptance of their alliance with your geopolitical rivals. You would laugh them out of the room. That is precisely what this plan is. It's a non-starter, designed to be rejected. Russia has absolutely no incentive to even consider these terms. Why would they? They are winning the war of attrition. Their economy has weathered the sanctions, and they hold significant territorial gains. The idea that Moscow would negotiate its own defeat is beyond absurd. It's insulting to anyone's intelligence. Let us be brutally honest about what these so-called peace plans from both Kyiv and its Western sponsors really are. They are public relations tools, nothing more. They are carefully crafted documents designed for one purpose: to be dramatically presented to the world and then inevitably rejected by Russia. This allows Ukraine and its allies to throw up their hands and say, "See? We tried. We offered peace, but the evil Russians refused." They are the ones who want this war to continue. It's a cynical game of blame shifting, a way to preemptively poison any future negotiations and paint Russia as the sole obstacle to peace. This isn't a serious attempt at diplomacy. It's a setup, a pre-written script for a play in which Russia is cast as the villain, no matter what it does. The goal is not to end the war, but to manage the narrative of the war. Meanwhile, the grim reality is that no amount of Western financial aid is going to fix Ukraine's deep-seated, systemic problems. The country was an economic basket case plagued by staggering corruption long before 2022. Now, with its industrial base obliterated, its population decimated, and its infrastructure in ruins, it has become a black hole for Western cash. Pouring billions more into this failed state will not bring victory or prosperity. It will only line the pockets of oligarchs and prolong the suffering of the Ukrainian people. The money will disappear into the corrupt void. The weapons will continue to be destroyed on the battlefield, and the country will sink deeper into debt and despair. So, as we look ahead, the picture is bleak. Zelensky's Christmas wish for Putin to disappear is a perfect metaphor for his entire strategy, a reliance on fantasy over reality. The war will grind on. More lives will be lost, more cities will be turned to rubble, and Ukraine will continue its slow, agonizing collapse. The peace plans will gather dust, the rhetoric will grow more hysterical, and the West will continue to fund a losing effort, all while pretending it's on the verge of a breakthrough. There is little hope for genuine peace on the horizon because one side believes it can win through magical thinking and PR stunts, while the other side continues to gain ground in the real world. The tragedy is that the only ones who truly lose are the ordinary people caught in the middle of this cynical and destructive game. That's all for today. Thank you for tuning in.